Well, welcome to my office. Stuart, this reminds me of the first time we met many years ago. Do you remember that very first meeting we had here in my office to talk about working together? It was when we first started working with the Southern Living Plant Collection, and it turned out to be a very fortuitous meeting. So this is my office. It's right off of my bedroom. Stuart, if you don't mind kind of just doing a little tour. Those of you who may have seen the previous episode or something saw that we'll put a link above where I talked about the evolution of my bedroom. And actually many years ago, this used to be our bedroom. And that was a sitting room. And then after my boys grew up and we didn't really need a big TV room anymore or whatever, then I kind of just did a switcheroo because I have always wanted to have a library bedroom. Now, when I first saw this house, I thought that this setup would be absolutely brilliant with the parents' bedroom in there and then this area in here being the nursery. And why we didn't set it up like that, I'm not sure, but that's, if I had to live in this house all over again from the very beginning, that's definitely what I would do. And then behind that door to Stuart's left is where my bathroom is, my closet and everything. I'll save that for another day. Some of you have expressed some interest in how I store like all of my jewelry and stuff. Again, I'm no expert, you guys. This is just how I live here. And since it's all part of my kind of garden-inspired life, I guess it's a natural evolution. So when we bought the house, these built-ins did not exist. One of the things I love most about this room is its coved ceiling, and that's an architectural feature that we definitely wanted to maintain and I think kind of exaggerate when we did some things to this room. But we built in these bookshelves and we built in this wonderful kind of a window seat area, not only because it was practical, but also because there's just additional storage under here. And in these old houses, storage is always at a premium. So there's drawers on that side and there's cabinetry in here, and then obviously this houses my for the most part, it's a gardening library in here. There's some other books. I continue to glean and hone and cull books that I'm not using anymore, but pretty much everything, especially when I was writing my own book, I referred a lot to these different classics. I consider them classics that I've had for many years, and they are like old friends to me. I just love them. And so here's my question of the day for you guys. Do you sometimes look at magazines, books, Pinterests, or whatever that have a room or a style or something that matches what you already have, and then you take that idea because it so closely resembles the architecture or the setup of your room or whatever, and then you try to kind of recapture a vignette or a still life or a composition that you've seen in the magazines? And I have. And I've had this little picture for years. So this tiny little picture has always been the inspiration, I guess, for this area right here. So tell me if, Stuart, does it look like I kind of captured the aura of this picture? He's given me a thumbs up. So I've got my topiaries in the window, and these are joined by a few more topiaries as I have to bring some of them in. What I love about this exposure, it's south, and even though it really got beaten up in the Arctic blast, this caddo maple will turn the most gorgeous golden hue in the fall that even on a cloudy day, it makes this room look as if it is bathed in sunlight. And I also love it because, Stuart, if you can just kind of torque around a little bit, right across from that, I have a mirror that's been placed there. So I get that kind of illumination and that glow and the golden sunlight from both perspectives. So it really makes, this is probably one of the brightest rooms in my house because I've got eastern and southern exposure. So I love the built-ins. I like everything to be comfortable, and most of my chairs for seating are actually big overstuffed chairs. These used to be in my bedroom, and I just had them recovered because I do a lot of work in here, a lot of reading, a lot of meditating from these chairs. Plus, it's kind of nice at the end of the day, if I'm still working in my office, that that my hubs can come up here and we can visit at the end of the day. I used to hold my meetings in here. Now I pretty much do it in that studio office outside that's a little bit more spacious, and this has become a little bit more of an intimate area for me to just do my writing and do my work and live my life. And a lot of people say you shouldn't have your office right off of your bedroom, but I like that. And especially on a cold and cloudy day, this whole kind of master suite area to me, even though it's a 1932 house, still feels warm and embracing and, I don't know, and just kind of cozy. So I like that. So I always try to give you guys some takeaways of some tips that will make decorating maybe a little bit less expensive, or if not less expensive, then just some things that I have done that have been enduring over the years. So I did them a long time ago, but I really liked the idea and I repeat it, or I still like the idea. So they are kind of timeless tips, I guess, that I want to share with you. Number one, let me point out, I've often said that everything in my Linda Vater QVC collection, we'll try to put a card up above, is multi-purpose, and this is a perfect example. So I've got here one of my copper plant stands or plant supports. I should say it also comes in galvanized and black. Sadly, I think they're all sold out. But I just put a round piece of marble on top of it that I found at a thrift store, and it makes a perfect little side table. And I can have my cup of coffee in the morning. I meditate all around the house early in the morning, but this is one of my places that I like to do that. You'll note there's no TV in here. I have one in the bedroom, but there's no TV in here, though Alexa is my best friend, especially when she plays autumn jazz radio this time of year. I reserve playing autumn jazz radio on Pandora for just this time of year so that it really seems special. So if you haven't checked out that station, you might want to check it out. Okay, so back to some of my tips. So I bought these frames a long time ago, and I got these at Bed Bath & Beyond. And what they were for were actually, they were somehow marketed as kind of wedding things. And the paper around them is meant to be written on. And then you put a picture of the bride or something, and then people could write on the matting, they could write their well wishes or whatever, and then you framed them. They almost have a shadow box feel to them. Well, I wanted to do something different. I loved all of the negative space around them. I liked the fact that they were on sale, and I liked the symmetry of them. So here's what I did. These are actually photocopies of some pictures, some illustrations that have a lot of meaning to me. And this is a great idea if you want some inexpensive artwork, but that still is meaningful to you, even if it's not really, really valuable. So this image in particular, number one, why do I like it? Well, I love it because it's got some topiary qualities to it. And here is my inspiration. So I found this wonderful The Naming of Names book by Anna Pavard, and this is just a classic, and her writing is just beautiful, and this is one of my favorite gardening books. But I came across this illustration in here. This is the first illustration of plants to appear in a book. And I loved the idea of that, the meaning of that. And it was the first illustration that I hung in my office. So I just made a copy of it. I certainly didn't want to destroy the book or tear the book up, and that was one of the images. And the other image, I think, is one of the first botanical illustrations. It's in this book someplace also. One of the first botanical illustrations that was ever printed. And so both of those had real meaning to me. I love those illustrations, and I wanted kind of a chartreusey, kind of a presence of that chartreusey color that I like so much in here. So that's kind of an idea. Take an inexpensive frame, maybe that was used for another purpose, and reinvent it in your own way. If you're a photographer, if those would be darling, I think, in a nursery or something with kids' illustrations in them, or let the kids illustrate the entire matting and then put a picture of them in the center. So things like that I think are really kind of fun and an interesting way to use things. And since this worked out so well for me, because you see I've got kind of a purple lilac-y color going in here, I wanted to do the same with this grid of photos. And so in various books, I just selected some purple plants that all looked like they spoke the same language. And I also liked the fact that these had a lot of negative space around them too. And these were inexpensive frames. I think I got them at Michael's. And they have kind of a brassy golden sheen quality to them, which is a patina metallic look that I kind of wanted to carry forth in this room. So I love them, and I love that color. And then the pillows and the throws and things of that nature have this same kind of plum hue to them. One year for Christmas, it was really, really fun. I found some Christmas wrap that was just this perfect plum color, and I had some gorgeous velvet ribbon, and so I wrapped them up, and I had this wonderful still life of all of these Christmas presents while I was, you know how you wrap them and then you kind of keep them out where people can't see them or shake them or whatever. So it was really fun for my kids. I had all of these beautiful purple packages that were up in here, and I was able to enjoy them and really revel in them while they were waiting for their recipients to open them. So that was kind of a fun thing to do. Is I just found some wrapping paper and I played with it and just kind of did a little still life of them based on the colors in this room. The rug in here I had custom made to match the one in my bedroom, and I like the fact that it's pretty easy to keep clean, and also I didn't want to completely cover up the hardwood floors here, which we had refinished when we bought this house, and so it makes cleaning them pretty easy. The desk belonged to my grandfather, and this is interesting to me because when we were cleaning out my parents' house, they lived in a huge 3-story house, and I've got 9 brothers and sisters. My mom really liked to collect things, a little bit too many things, I think. A lot of stuff ended up in the basement, and when we were getting rid of stuff and cleaning out their house, I found this gorgeous table in the basement, and it was just covered with a bunch of stuff, but it cleaned up beautifully, and I thought, oh, this shall be mine, and it made a beautiful, beautiful desk that I have in my office. And then just some of the other pieces they're just not expensive. I think I got this table, which is just good for storage and things, and makes kind of a little bit of what's it called? A sideboard? What's it called in your office when you have a piece of furniture behind your desk? Credenza. A credenza. So this is kind of like my false credenza that I have here. And things are kind of a mess. My lamp I got at a thrift store. And I think you buy a great lamp at a thrift store, and then you find a fabulous finial that you spend twice as much on as you did on the thrift store lamp, and it turns it into something pretty special. And everything else in here are just you know, most of them are just kind of finds that either have meaning to me or not. I got this wonderful tray at TJ Maxx. It's got this plum veining in it that I just love. This is seeded eucalyptus that I spray painted this kind of rosemary metallic color. I couldn't bear to throw it away after the fresh arrangement was no longer fresh. So I saved it and recycled it in here. My kids, I've talked about this before. When they were young, we would go on hunting expeditions in nature, and we would try to make things that they could transform into gifts. So we went down to Beaver's Bend, and there was an island near Lakeview Lodge that had these just gorgeous pieces of quartzite. And so we brought some of these back to use and give to their grandparents as both bookends and also as paperweights. Usually on the bottom, I'll put some of those felt discs so it doesn't scratch. But these, I took it off of these because I just wanted to set it up here on top of my stack of plum colored books. There's another question for you guys. Do you sometimes color coordinate your stack of books? So my color hues in here are plum and this kind of bright chartreusey green. So I did a little homage to that over here. One last, or a couple of last things. I love my little watering can here. This was a gift from my friend Elaine. It's got really nice heft and is just the perfect weight to water my topiaries, which get brilliant light here, by the way, you guys, because this is south exposure. This was a wedding gift. It's kind of a flapper. This was a wedding gift from a roommate that I had in college, and I still love it. And now it kind of is a hat rack with whatever hat I'm kind of wearing for that week. And finally, here is my last thrift store find, because always there's something thrifted in my home. This turquoise vase up here is one that I showed you a couple of weeks ago that I found on the same shopping expedition as I did when I got these fabulous 70s vibe pants. So there you go, you guys. And there's baskets everywhere because I love baskets, and they hold all sorts of things that flow in and out of my life, that I'm using in and out of my life, because it's about the art of containment, I guess. So there you go. I hope you enjoyed this little glimpse, being a voyeur in my office. You guys have a great Sunday, and I'll see you next week. Well, if you've held on this long, here is my special edition of a fashion epilogue today, because you guys were instrumental in making sure that I didn't cut up these fabulous 70s vibe pants that I got at Goodwill for $5.49. They originally came from Harold's. So at first, I just didn't like the way they fit. I thought they were just a little bit too tight across the hips, but then I tried them on again. Maybe I've lost a couple pounds. Who knows? Now they fit really beautifully. So I'm glad I didn't have to cut them up. They are just that wonderful flared length that's really kind of hip right now. My shoes came from Land's End. I've had these little boots forever, and I really like them. And they've got, like I say, I'm just really channeling that 70s vibe. I asked Stuart if I looked like I could go on Soul Train, but I think Soul Train was even before the 70s, wasn't it? If you guys know the answer, let me know. My wooden earrings, I think I can't remember where I got these, so I shouldn't even say. I've had them for forever, love these. All of my bracelets came from just different thrift stores, flea markets, or whatever, but I put on this one a wonderful charm. I don't know what saint it is, but I hung it on this one beaded bracelet. My sister Meg gave me this. She got it on a trip to Europe. My top is just one of my beloved Ann Taylor white crisp tops that I like to wear with the collar up. My necklace came from Burlington Coat Factory, and it was just such a happy thing when I realized that it perfectly matched the colors in my breeches. The chain belt, I think, is perfect with these pants. I told Stuart earlier that I felt like I was channeling Meg, Don Draper's second wife in Mad Men. The chain belt came with a pair of jeans I had years ago, and I actually wear it quite a bit. Let's see, I think that pretty much, does that complete my ensemble for today? So there is my 70 inspired thrift store ensemble and my fashion du jour.